you believe in the existence of extraterrestrials?
Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, depending on where and when you're watching this broadcast. I'm Thomas Fessler, my friends, and this is Disclosure Tonight. Happy Saturday, October 25th, 2025, with only 8 weeks and 4 days till Christmas. Gee, I've heard, though, some people have already gotten their early Christmas presents, so let's go ahead and welcome in our audience. Who could we be talking about? Let's take a look and see who we can welcome into today's show. Out there, we have Amigo Rules and Andy W. Anne Marie's here, along with Carl Joe Garrison's in the chat. Good to see you, my friends. Country Carpenters are on, along with Digger Dog, Eliza Teal, Eric Routh, and the Gurus. We've got Brian Pemble popped up. Good to have you stop by last night, Brian. We got Eliza Teal, Firefly, Gene Sticko's here, along with Ghost Fixer. Gray Hair Discoveries is around, along with Janet Park. Jeremy Marin, Ms. Cutouts around, along with Nathan Forrest, and our dear friend down in Florida, Peggy, and her South Florida friends. I like your new picture on X, Peggy. Wonderful to see you. And Steve. Rodney Cox is around, along with Rough Freddy, Sam, Shelley Montgomery, Stephen Forbes, the Super Unknown, and different one, Turtlehead. Interesting. On that note, let's go ahead and jump back into the studio. Where are we at? I guess we go to here, and Mike, how the hell are you, my friend? Happy Saturday.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, no, it's been a very busy week, obviously, and there's going to be a lot of interesting things for us to talk about today.
Oh, there are, my friend. This is Fuck You Friday, day 2.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. But that's okay. We'll get through it. In the meantime, though, I have to step out shortly. I will be back very quickly. All right,
my friend. Sounds good. Yes. Family matters, family times come up. Yes. Let's go ahead. We are our first video. Thanks for being around, Mike. In our first video, we've got Jeremy Corbell commenting on what he has declared as the big lie and his thoughts regarding 3-Eye Atlas, coming from Weaponized episode 94. This is one of our top stories for today, folks. Let's see where Jeremy Corbell, cheers, by the way, Andy. Right back at you. There you go. Thank you, sir. All right, let's go ahead and get this. Did I download this one? I think I downloaded it. Let me just take a look. Where is Downey at? Here we go. Let's bring up that one. It'll sound a little bit better, a little bit more control over this. We got the intro done. Let me get the video up, bring this down, and where's OBS? Here we go. Let's get into the studio, and let's go ahead and watch this one. Here we go, folks. I think I got to move this up just a little. Why is this so off?
Sure. Everybody's asking what my opinion is on the 3-Eye Atlas, object coming to Earth. Now, I'm not an astronomer. I'm not a scientist, but why they're asking me is because I made a statement back in January saying that, hey, there's a lie coming. And of course, it was part of a show, and it was just but if you watch the whole show, you kind of understand what's going on. And I've made a ton of statements about why I would say something like that. I'm not hiding and just saying it. I've explained to people why multiple times, but people are asking about that. Now, I don't know anything about that particular comment. I read the same stuff as everybody else. The trend I'm realizing, our friend in the disclosure movement, Avi Loeb, he talks about these unique characteristics, and he's not wrong about that, but it is a consensus of one. I don't see a bunch of other astrophysicists and people working on this stuff really echoing that same sentiment. I do love his open-mindedness, and he knows far better than me, and he's, investigating the unexplained, not explaining the uninvestigated. So I've got a lot of happiness and joy for the way that he's looking at this problem set. But I will stand firm in that I said in January, and I actually said it earlier, but it was, I think it was played in January, that there was something coming. that people were going to try to convince the public at large that there was a spacecraft slowly moving to Earth, and that didn't come out of thin air. That wasn't just something I like made up before I sat down. That came from years of people trying to impose upon me something to use my mouth, that there was this threat coming, that there's a 1970s document that I believe to be classified for sure, and I don't have the ability to get that out to people, but it postulated this. So there were so many warning signs that this was going to happen. I finally said the quiet part out loud. Intelligence agents from multiple agencies durationally over years would call me and slowly edge at me with this theory and this idea to try to get me to say it, and it felt so manipulative I had to call it out. So that is specifically why I said it, because I felt that pressure over time. I know you've been told, oh, there are these hints of big things coming. Well, if it is, fucking say it. If it is, then you have a duty to say it. But no one's standing up and raising their hand. So I do think it's absolute nonsense. I think that you're going to see, a comet that's, maybe unique by material pass by the Earth and life goes on. I'm pretty high confidence that that's what's going to happen. But again, I don't know. I'm not an astronomer or anything. I just know what intelligence agencies have tried to push on me.
A lot of people have jumped to a conclusion. Aha, Jeremy was talking about this one. How did he know? And, I was wondering that myself since you hadn't shared it with me.
But you've heard it. You've heard it, George.
Yeah, of course.
2027 to 2036. Ooh, a big thing is coming. Okay, what is it then? How'd you find out about it?
I've been around long enough to remember Hale Bopp. Hale Bopp. Art Bell, a lot of people saying, oh, there's something following it, a big spaceship, end of the world coming. And then the crazy cult people in Southern California all drank the Kool-Aid and died, killed themselves so they could meet up with it. Bad stuff can happen when you do that kind of crazy prognostication. And I'll tell you, I saw this last night on X. Somebody had a picture of Avi Loeb, and they're quoting him as saying, if you're going to take a vacation, you better do it before October 29th, because this is it. And you know what? I don't know that Dr. Loeb said anything even remotely close to that.
Oh, he did.
Take your vacation before October 29th?
Yeah, I saw the video clip. But again, it's all about context, right? So when you're doing an interview and you're talking with people, he was probably kind of making a joke. He wasn't doing a doomsday thing, but it becomes like, biblical scripture. Everybody's got it. Look, Avi Loeb is fighting to investigate the unexplained, not to explain the uninvestigated. That is awesome, but it's the media and social media doing it to itself. I don't know, man.
Well, I just know that I'm not going to be able to take a vacation before October 29th because slave driver Jeremy keeps me tethered to this desk here for weaponized.
That's right.
I'm out of luck.
There we go. Interesting conversation coming from these two guys. Now, Andy, I do have some inside info on this to a degree. It's been rumored that the architect of Control Disclosure, Carl Nell, was one of the people talking about this giant craft coming towards Earth while walking around the halls of Congress.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Not right now. He's like more mid 2030s. I guess like they had said 2036, but
I just wonder why it's moving slowly.
It's big.
If it's arriving at all, but yeah, it's one of those. Yeah, wait and see. Don't hold your breath, people.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, in other news on 3i Atlas, it's clearly an object. We don't know what the heck it really is, to tell you the truth, because earlier this week, the overall, if this is the sun over here, the light, the tail coming from 3i Atlas, you see, I use this as 3i Atlas, moving around. The tail of 3i Atlas, for the longest time, had been extending towards the sun, which, as 3i Atlas goes around, comets are usually having their tails going away from the sun. The sun's over here where it says away from the keyboard. Right, Andy?
If I could find my mute button, yes.
There you go,
yeah.
perfectly. So the tail was going towards the sun, which we never see that on the comments. And all of a sudden, earlier this week, it flipped to the opposite direction, saying, oh my God, guys, we had the tail flipped the wrong way. Does that mean it's changing directions? Does that mean that it could be slowing down? Well, there's a lot of speculation going on with that on that, Andy. But the problem is, it's behind the sun right now, so we don't really know what's going on unless maybe they would have the James Webb Space Telescope out there or other observatories that are off Earth to go ahead and observe and figure out what's really going on.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's a toss of a coin, isn't it? Heads or tails. If it's a natural object, it's a rock, or
it's something different. It's behaving different.
It's something different.
It's putting off different signals that we've had before. But humans always like to act, Andy, that we know everything, and pretty much we know everything. And if something comes out, we always try to put it in a box. Well, sometimes is it necessary to create its own box for it to go in? Yeah,
I just wonder. Is it the mere fact that we've not studied very many of these objects, that it's a new, we're only just being able to see that far out into the solar system, that maybe these things pass by fairly frequently and we've just never managed. It's kind of like with the spy balloons, wasn't it, where they they upped their sensors. And they started picking up things like spy balloons, which they weren't getting. Is it just that our sensor capability is becoming better and better able to see these things? Or is it actually, we know it's strange, but is it that strange that it's a craft, or is it just strange that it's something we've never actually seen before? It
seems that... I think it seems to have properties, Andy, that defy a lot of our preconceived understandings of how a comet or an asteroid is supposed to go ahead and behave. And it's been putting off different types of minerals. It's been gassing different things, gassing oxygen or gassing carbon monoxide, and it's got different mineral makeups. So we just have to look at it and say, okay, we've got something different here. Now, could this be because of where the overall solar system is and the overall revolving around the galactic center of the Milky Way galaxy? We'll find out.
Is it the age? Is it purely down to the age of the object? If it's as potentially as old as say it could be, the makeup of wherever it came from when it was, say, ejected from, say a planet did explode, the planet it was made up from. I would have expected if it had come from a planet, there would be more of these same objects out there. But is it actually a completely different makeup than the Earth and what we are used to?
Oh, go back to the old saying of that's not a moon, it's a space station.
I'm no scientist. I leave it up to them, and sometimes they don't know. So, it would be nice if they actually released some of the photos, the images they've captured of it. Which
wasn't it like
some of them?
The ESA was locking up stuff going like 75 plus years out or 99 years out, something crazy.
I've heard 75 years. Why would you? That goes into conspiracy theories for me again. Why would you lock something like that up?
Yeah. Well, Little Schism's got a good idea. Little Schism saying Atlas is the arachnid takeover launch, an assault ship. Those giant 10-foot spiders we've been talking about here for years.
Could be. Who knows?
I mean, if you want to talk about anything, I guess you could have, giant mantises and stuff, but wouldn't giant spiders with all those eyes and those fangs and all that stuff be a lot scarier than just a mantis?
Yeah, the only mantis I've seen out in the wild was when I was on holiday in the Mediterranean.
Yeah.
I love mantises. I think they're cool looking animals. Now, a 10-foot tall one might be a little bit more scary, but I'll go for mantis over spiders any day. Yeah.
Interesting. I guess you haven't seen the video of the mantis eating a gecko alive. No. You don't want to see that one. And then you'll probably change your mind about the mantises.
Oh, I know they can be pretty vicious, yeah.
Oh, they can. But, you know, they're just wayward space travelers. Their home planet has been destroyed. They don't have a place to call home. And they have all of their civilization in stasis. And all they need for each one of their little people to come back is a fresh human. Or not people, but yeah.
A few of us to go around, aren't there?
No, yeah, plenty. You have to wonder why is the world all getting so obese? Is it a plan from humans and big pharma, big food, or is it something else that they're plumping up the humans before the harvest?
I don't have that issue. Diabetes is taking care of that.
Oh yeah. Well, I'll be going back down. They raised up my levothyroxine because I've had thyroid issues because of some kind of exposure, but probably to radiation at a young age. Gee, I wonder what the hell that was about. They raised it up another, 1/3, so that should be helping with me getting back to normal a little bit.
Hopefully that's going to be the case.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, talking about all things at the end of the world, we got 2 great videos coming to us from Suspicious Observers. The first one was we're going to get caught up on the latest space weather news, and then we're going to go ahead and talk about the great, where did it go again? Oh yeah, the great waves of the disaster or cataclysm. Yes, Dr. Ben Davidson has been talking about this for the longest time. And just to clarify for everybody, as the poles of the planet go into transition, like we had roughly 40,000 years ago, the Lachamp, if you want to call it geomagnetic excursion, then they call it. What we get every single time goes on, it's not global warming, my friends. It's climate destabilization, and that is exactly where we're at now, where we're heading towards. And a lot of things happen when this stuff goes on. Let's get to Ben Davidson. Let me find these videos. I know they're around here somewhere. Go ahead and find this. Great waves. No, we're going to go to the pole. The first video we've got is the pole shift kills. That's what we're talking about, the great disaster that's coming our way. And a coastal West Coast quake risk and Solar Watch. Let's get on to this first episode of Disclosure Tonight of Space Weather News before we jump into talking about the great waves of disaster. Here we go. Coming to us from our partner over at Suspicious Observers, also now known as Space Weather News. Thirds. That one. Here we go.
Good morning, folks. Welcome, observers. Today we're going to see the far side CME bonanza continues. We'll look ahead to what's coming from the sun. We've got another tropical update track shift, scary seismic discovery on the U.S. West Coast, and another cut for the pole shift extinction triggering, literally. We're starting with the last 24 hours on our star, another quiet day on the Earth-facing half of the sun. Far side eruptions continue, coronal hole keeps turning in, sunspots facing us aren't well developed and haven't flared. Pretty quiet stretch here, and that should remain until the coronal hole stream arrives. Dark, incoming, triangle coronal hole with a coronal cloud intrusion cutting through it should face Earth tomorrow night, and solar wind should become enhanced early next week. Folks, after we've seen 2 far side CME eruptions the last 2 days, there was a third one a few hours after the morning news show yesterday. That makes 3 far side blasts. Good thing we're not sitting in our orbital position 6 months from now. That sunspot group will be turning back around to face Earth in another week if it survives its turn across the far side. Folks, another update to the hurricane forecast track for Melissa. Now she wants to swing around the island of Jamaica, still impacting her a good deal, and then shoot north towards Cuba. Ugly situation shaping up in the Caribbean right now. Eyes on it, folks. First article today is this one. New data suggests that when Cascadia eventually rips a magnitude 9 earthquake into the northwest USA, the force direction is highly likely to set off San Andreas in the minutes to hours that follow. The entire west coast could be razed to the ground in an afternoon, or while we sleep. Last but not least today, outstanding work by this team to go back and say that they got it wrong. They were the first to examine some of the tiny pieces of bone cuts, the evidence that suggested humans had caused past extinctions through hunting. Nope, those were post-death shrinkage and dehydration cracks. It's not a topic that's published on a lot, but this now makes 4 key papers in the last 7 years saying it wasn't actually human hunting and the spread of the human population, it was nature, and that nature is the disaster cycle and Earth's magnetic pole shift. The weakening magnetic field of Earth is the #1 topic of conversation on our winter tour. Tickets are available below, and this is a 4-hour masterclass on surviving the coming disaster event on Earth. 5 cities in 5 months. Get your tickets at the link below. And we only have a few events left this year at Observer Ranch. Self-defense training November 1st after the Halloween event. Observer speed dating so you can find your purple princess or post-apocalyptic warlord.
Ben's going through divorce right now, so
and then the film premiere and the last Pole Shift conference of the year, middle of the month. Come out for the end of our rookie season. ObserverRanch.com, and tickets to the tour are below as well. We greatly appreciate your support. We'll do this all again tomorrow.
Yeah, space weather news or suspicious observers, depending on how you want to call it, is a great source for learning about the what's going on with the sun, the potential upcoming cataclysm, and the cataclysmic rhythm that hits our Earth every 3,000, 6,000, 12,000 years on a regular basis, like clockwork. And guess what, folks? We're past due. It's a little late, which means it could happen anytime now. On this note, let's go ahead and talk about the great waves of disaster. What are we talking about? Well, you'll find out shortly. But when the poles go to flip, it unlocks the crust, has the Earth kind of go ahead and change its axis or change the location of the crust as it continues to rotate, creates giant mile-high waves that'll crash across every coast of the United States and around the world. And there's only certain places you can live, like the top of Mount Kilimanjaro and parts of Colorado, all the way up through northern Idaho. I may have to come live in Idaho, guys. 2 midgets. It may be safe up there by you guys. Sounds like a great idea. Expect 2 more and 2 dogs. On that note, let's go ahead and jump across to this talking about the great waves of disaster. Here we go. Now, there is a cataclysm. Gosh, we got to bring this up and make sure Ben knows about this. There is great legislation that was introduced a couple years back about titled basically preparing the United States in the case there is a cataclysm heading our way. Not sure if it went that far, but it took a lot of balls to go ahead and bring that out. So on that note, let's go ahead and watch this talking about the great waves of disaster. Here we go, everybody.
Good evening, folks. We're going to be discussing the great waves of the cyclical catastrophe and North America, where 95% of my viewers live. Sediment, myth, religion, geophysics, fossils, all speak of these great floods and how they occur rapidly, dramatically, with the oceans rushing inland, attacking the continents, and then sliding back to slumber in their basins. Folks, I'm going to be doing my usual model where the Gulf and the Atlantic are the primary attackers of the United States, but we will also be discussing the Pacific. Now, when I say that if we have evidence of the Pacific breaking through the Rockies, I'm just not super confident in the Appalachian Mountains. This is pretty much where my head is. It's not challenging to understand that if the Pacific comes through from the left, the Appalachians are really going to struggle against the forces of the Atlantic. In our model, the water in this portion of the world is generally pushed north-northwest, with the Pacific taking a bit more west-northwest push. This sends the Gulf of America and the Atlantic into North America towards about the 10 or 11 o'clock position, up and just a little bit to the left on a diagonal. You can see how the geography will funnel this up into central Canada. When the water hits the wall of the Rockies, it will want to go north rather than pile up. Understand that the tops of the Rockies stayed dry even when the Pacific broke through. Never came too close, actually. But the valleys filled and the water snaked its way through the low points and burst through into the central United States. How do we know it happened this way? Because the river basins here do not match the carving patterns over millions of years. Slowly. If I turn this sideways, that green portion looks like the deep sea canyons described by Doug Vogt, the ones on every coastline which
I have to agree with this. I have scrubbed the coastlines everywhere around the world looking for evidence of advanced civilizations. And what Ben's talking about here is if we get a little bit into the part of the green area, you see all these areas where the water was and it all drained out, coming out of it. This is exactly the structures that he's all talking about. Let's continue.
Can't actually be turbidity current driven, showing the runoff points of past disasters, except where deep sea canyons show it running off the continents back into the ocean basins. This shows the filling up of the Rocky Mountains popping out through the low valleys. So we're basically looking at the lowest 20 to 30% of the eastern front of the Rockies being dangerous territory, even in what we call the New Valley of the Sun, in a scenario where the Pacific were to somehow attack this time. But most of that area does remain dry. The Gulf of America and the Atlantic, they're the reason their intrusion could be so devastating. There isn't exactly anywhere for the water to quickly go. And don't forget two critical things. The New Madrid Fault should unleash a major event, weakening the crust in the central U.S., and isostatic readjustment is still a very real thing. The weight of that much water in the central states should sink the middle of the country. The Gulf of America should experience uplift, and if so, the water is really trapped and will have an inland sea cutting this country in half. It's critical to look at the dedicated elevation maps and not just go off qualitative descriptions of satellites. Satellite is great, of course, but it can't show you visually how dramatically high up the western United States really is compared to the east. Looking at this from the eastern and central parts of the country, wouldn't you rather be up here with us? After 15 years of math and research on this topic, I bet my life and my children's lives on it. Maybe you should be paying closer attention. The 2040s are closer than you think. Best place to be is the eastern range of the Rockies, the right side of the red area. Too high for the geography to let the east be an issue, high enough to avoid the Pacific if you stay above about 4,900 feet in elevation. So those low areas in Arizona and New Mexico are in the breakthrough path of the Pacific if that Pacific wave comes. Low passes also exist in the northern states, maximum crest at around 4,800 feet, which fits our 5,000-foot model for safety pretty well. It is worth noting there are no major tsunami breakthrough points in Colorado or Wyoming. Maybe find a weekend to come see us at Observer Ranch and get yourself squared away. I'm noticing one of the most unexpected things we're hearing from people is that if they're aiming to find direction and preparing for what's coming, they leave this place so amazingly confident that they know how to win. I'll see you in the morning for the Daily Show. Be safe, everyone.
Let's get back. Great conversation coming from, of course, Ben Davidson from Suspicious Observers. Andy, doesn't look too good for where I live or where you live in the United Kingdom, but it seems those high-on places, like I was bringing up Mount Kilimanjaro, if you go to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro, above that 5,000-foot mark, there are trees that plants and trees that date back to the dinosaurs living on the top of that mountain that have never been succumbed to any kind of global catastrophe event yet. So that may be literally the safest place on this planet to go.
Yeah, looks like there's not that many places, so we're all going to be a bit confined, aren't we?
Oh, you wipe out 90%. Okay, you wipe out 90%.
I'm done for anyway.
Yeah, you wipe out 90%, 95% of the population, right? All the technology, all the books, all the stuff is gone, and with the last 5% of humanity that's on the planet, right? How long does it take before we forget everything? About a generation or two, maybe
generation. And I'm going to go from what happened here in the United Kingdom. You know, when the Romans left, how quickly we reverted back to, you know, we had, you know, running water. You know, they had all the Roman roads that are so, you know, but the landscapes pockmarked with the ghosts of Roman roads. Most of the roads we drive on in the UK, if they're dead straight, are Roman roads.
Yeah.
But yeah, literally within maybe 1 or 2 generations, it'll all be gone.
Yeah, it doesn't take long, and then we forget everything. Because remember, I mean, they have found high precision, micro scale surgical tools that were found around the Roman era that were used for taking care of cataracts in the eyes, and it matches the precision of what we actually have today. So some of the stuff you have to look back to ancient Roman times, how much of the technology that they had back then was actually something that came from another cycle in the past that they inherited.
Yeah. There's always little bits of technology that that seem to survive.
Right.
The more what I would call minor technologies, but yeah, the main stuff. All of our computers and everything, that'd be what we're dealing with in the modern. Like I'm talking to somebody 8,000 miles away, face to face here. That all goes. We go back to just talking to the person in the next valley is what happens. And I think you said it being cyclical, and I think you're right. I think there's been many iterations of what our species went through, and they've all reverted. Most of this stuff's been if it's over a really long period of time, it gets drawn back into the earth. With tectonic plate movement and things. So a lot of that stuff from before has probably gone back under, being recycled.
Potentially, yes, but on the top of the Appalachians, top of the Rockies, they have found large deposits of seashells and things in the past, which point to all of this water coming and inundating, not necessarily that underneath, the top of the Rockies was once underneath an ocean, but it seems like there were inundations going on multiple times. I mean, you've got places up in Alaska called the Boneyard where they're finding a lot of gold, but they're also finding countless and just hundreds or thousands of carcasses of animals around at that time that all kind of got washed together and pushed down into a depression. So the earth every so often just winds itself up, but human knowledge gets in our way in 2 ways. 1, we forget stuff. Number 2, we think we're so smart to think that something like this can never have happened before in the past.
And how many of us are hunter-gatherer? How many of us, I know in America, a lot of your countrymen and women like to go out hunting and can probably survive. Around here, there's not a lot of, we got deer, but there's not a lot of wild game to hunt. And most people wouldn't even have a clue how to do it, to be honest.
Right. Well, you tear down the forest, you tear down different places where they can potentially live. More importantly, take away the weapons.
Yeah.
People can't defend themselves and they can't find their own food. But coming soon to a location near you in Canada, I hear they're trying to do the same thing to go ahead and take away the weapons from the people. It's just crazy what's been going on. Everyone, they always bring up these reasons, but it sounds more like bullshit than anything. What else do we have to cover today? So looking over, Andy, at Askapol, the UAPs, he has been hot on the heels of people in the Senate with regards to UFO disclosure. Why? Because the House of Representatives has been on vacation as the government has been closed. And the president tears down the east wing of the White House and builds a new new ballroom to entertain dignitaries. Wonderful. And more importantly, not a single penny is going towards that ballroom, unlike the $300 million that was spent to put in Obama's basketball court. On that note, Jay Anderson, you have your hand up, my friend.
Yeah, I was just going to bring up also that, we do forget a lot of stuff from the past. We could bring up like the Baghdad battery, where they have like a pot-like shape with a lid on it with a copper tube going in. They created electricity from that.
Yeah, of course they did. We think we what do they say? That Ben Franklin invented electricity? That the Wright brothers invented flight? Right? No. Yeah, in our modern time they did, but you look back, look at the discoveries the Greeks, the Romans had. Look to the discoveries of what was going on coming from India that was thousands of years before that. We keep on rediscovering the same stuff again and again, don't we? It's a cycle.
Yeah, they had those birds that were aerodynamic that they made, and they tested them, making them as an actual aircraft, and tested it, and it was like perfect.
Yeah. It is. And the little gold thing that they had that was found down in South America that Giorgio Tsoukalos from what do you call it? Ancient Aliens.
Yes.
Yes.
And it was perfectly aerodynamic. And how would they know how to make it like that? Like they knew how to get to the sky from then.
Oh, I know. But it flew completely perfectly. Without a problem. I don't want to start a Q&A. I think I want to start a survey on this. We haven't done a poll in a while.
How much of us believe that modern technology is ancient?
Well, okay, you want to talk about ancient technology, right? You look back to the ancient, what was it called again? Kailash Temple, right? Kailasa.
Or the anti-catherium mechanism that they found in the ocean.
Oh, well, that's fine. But if you want to talk about something really wild, let's go ahead and find images of Kailash Temple. This is a location in India. Let me go ahead and bring this one up here. Here we go. In ancient India, right? That is... Oh, really? You're going to do this to me? Don't go that way. I'll have to open up in different ways. Open image, a new tab. Open images, a new tab. Let's go to this one. Open image, a new tab. Open image, a new tab. Let's go ahead and bring some of them up. So Kailash Temple, right? This is a mountain, I believe, of andesite, Jay, which is the hardest material that's out there.
Yes.
And this temple was created, dug straight from the top all the way down.
Yes.
Out of andesite, which means if you make a mistake, guess what happens? You're fucked.
You would have to have advanced.
They have elephants, they have all different walkways, they have all this stuff. This is a huge complex. The technology required to go ahead and create this kind of stuff, we don't have today. We don't have it.
No.
Yeah, you look at this stuff, and this blows away the stuff we've seen, honestly, in ancient Egypt.
It does by far, because you would have to have ancient building plans if you're going from the top to the bottom, because we usually create houses from the
bottom up. We create the foundation, right? We create the foundation, then we go ahead and start doing the framing and start creating additional floors. This is the opposite.
Yes, exactly. So you need way more advanced knowledge than what we would have, even probably, like you said, today.
Yeah. And you look at some of the statues that have been carved in India, the level of detail and everything, but it's just not the level of detail. There's multiple layers going in and stuff where you have like lattice and stuff going in front, like to show an outfit. Behind it, it's fully carved and it's there. So it's well beyond anything we could possibly do today. We also look at stuff down in Derinkuyu over in ancient Turkey that had a civilization. I think it handled like 20,000 people living fully underground, not protecting themselves from humans. Even their livestock lived underground. They could grow crops from underground. It wasn't safe on the top of the planet. You just have to wonder what was causing that.
That was the one with the giant door underneath that if you're inside of it, it's like a 5-ton door that could be moved from the inside.
Yes.
Like really easily.
Right. But the way, since they had air inlets and other things that were going in and different ways to allow sunlight to come in, those doors weren't created to keep humanity out or the creatures out. It was created to protect the humanity from the environment on the surface of the planet at that time, which shows that our planet does get fucked up every once in a while.
100%.
Yeah. All right. Where else? Okay. So on our way back to Congress, We got distracted. I love talking about ancient archaeology. I even just put a survey out there. Hey, Google, set a timer for 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Got it. 1 minute, 30 seconds.
We got
starting
now. All right, we've got 32 votes in already. Let's see if we can get this up to 50, folks. So, ancient aliens. Everyone likes to make fun of Giorgio Tsoukalos and ancient aliens, but you know what? That was one of the things that reminded me and brought me back to the abductions that I went through as a kid. And they do bring a lot of good information up. People throw them under the bus. But would you look at this? Out of 49 votes 2 minutes ago, with a minute left to go, folks, Ancient Aliens, the TV show, opened my eyes to ancient UFOs. 91% of our audience is choosing that. We're only 9% of our audience is saying no. What do you think, Michael? Have you ever watched Ancient Aliens? Do you get along with it? Or Jay, or anyone in the back?
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, you. You're on camera.
I used to watch Ancient Aliens for quite a while. It's very interesting. You know, they like Von Daniken, they ask more questions than they give you answers, that's for sure.
Right.
I really enjoyed it when I was on the show and everything. They were the nicest people in the world. They down to earth. They do their investigations and they double check your work as well, like what they're investigating.
Mm-hmm. There we go. All right. As our timer goes out, our audience overwhelmingly chose that Ancient Aliens opened my eyes to ancient UFOs. And, to think that they've just been around here in, in our current times and got excited about us, and they showed themselves relative to our use of nuclear weapons and nuclear energy. No, they've been around here a long time. I think they're just kind of like freaked out saying, what the hell are you guys doing with that? You know what I mean? All right. On that note, we got that out of the way. Let's go ahead and take a look now at Matt Laszlo. He has been busy in Washington, D.C. Let's go back to the more recent conversations. Earlier this week, I believe, close to this week. We haven't covered this one yet. Former leader Hoyer on Elizondo claim that he paid Lockheed for their NHI hangar. Let's see what he is willing to go ahead and say about this. We probably got about less than a minute of text, but let's play it.
Exclusive from Washington. You might not remember this. Did you remember the $10 million for a new hangar that you helped get at PAX? Do you remember why that was important? That new hangar, I think it was for Lockheed Martin.
Well, it's a public partner.
Yeah.
Public partner. But I don't remember the specific. How long did we get that in this bill?
Someone online wanted me to ask you about it. Excuse me. How are you, ma'am? They said it might have to do with an.
Okay, I got to bring this up. He asked about the funding that went to Lockheed from Lou Elizondo to pay for a hangar. He's like, was that from this funding bill? My God, he needs to retire.
Let me find out about it.
Yeah.
Give me your card so I'll
They said it
remember.
might have to do with like a new technology. Are you aware of like
We got a lot
NHI?
Yeah, it may well be. Let me check on that.
Are you familiar with that term, NHI? Non-human intelligence?
No, I'm not.
No.
I'm sort of human intelligence person.
Yeah, right? Well, I'll look for that.
Yeah, I'll give you a call.
Have a good one, sir. Good to see you.
There we go. Not familiar with the term non-human intelligence. Not surprised, AJ?
Not surprised at all.
Yeah. Oh my. Well, come on. We've got the retirement home in DC. I'm surprised they don't have walkers for all the old people walking around. My God, they have just gotten so old. They've been... Well, now here's the next one. Now this one, if you remember and you look back, there was a video clip that was put out by James Fox when he was doing his interviews for the movie The Program. And he was trying to go ahead and reach out to Senator Schumer about UFOs and why the legislation wasn't working and what it needed to do to get there. And all schmuck did was look over his granny glasses and then look up as the door slowly closed. Let's see if are we going to get video from Matt Laszlo? Probably not, but same treatment. Let's go ahead and see where this went. I think we've got about that much in there.
Sir, did your UAP
I don't want to know why they're making that noise.
Sir, did your UAP Disclosure Act get gutted again? Do you know who in the House keeps targeting your measure? Thank you, sir.
And all he does is look over his granny glasses, not a word. Come on, Chuck. Tell us something.
Know what's going on.
Yeah, they do. But they're all in cahoots, aren't they, Jay?
Yeah, they are. It's all about the money, and
yeah. It's
just
about
sad
the
to see.
money. It's about the fundraising. It's about going ahead, not taking care of the people they represent, but the money that flows in to fill their coffers for their great lifestyle and help with their reelection campaign.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead now. We got Senator Tim Kaine. Good old Timmy. NDAA, wasn't he a candidate for VP one time?
Not sure.
I think he was. Maybe with Hillary or something. I don't know. Let's get to this. So Senator Kaine, NDAA empowers the Pentagon to shoot down UAP over bases like Langley. This is what we brought up. It was a UAS legislation. They said that they could shut down UAS over any military base or military operation for anything, for any reason, if they are there without proper authority. Let's see what good old Timmy here has to say. All right, I think we can jump in about 25 seconds.
Hey, how are you, sir? Can you find the skiff? Have you got any update on Langley?
Oh shit, back can't even hear this.
23.
No.
They can.
No. Yeah.
Bottom line is the radar. We've discovered some things in the last couple of years. Radar does a better job at picking up fast things than slow things, and large things than small things.
Were you able to address that in this year's NDAA?
There were a couple. Yes, the counteract that Senator Gillibrand and Cotton put in, I think, would help them address it. This was a hearing just about this new structure.
But that'll give clarity to the Pentagon, to bases like Langley?
Yes. Yeah.
So there you go, Tim. At least they found a member of Congress who was actually able to go ahead and talk about this kind of stuff. It's been a while since we've seen something like that, but hey, you know what? I'll take that over, I don't know what you're talking about, which is a good thing sometimes. All right, let's see what else we've got going on here. Yeah, it's a slow weekend. God, yesterday we had a great show. Brian, your hand is up, my friend.
Yeah, I'm going to interrupt, Thomas, but I want to remind everybody that Schumer and Rounds gave that colloquy on the Senate floor a couple of years ago, and obviously, that bill's been defeated. The attachment to the NDAA multiple times now. They could have reintroduced that as a clean bill when Schumer was a leader. Now, John Thune, who's the current leader, can do it too. They could reintroduce that as a clean bill at any time, and it has not been done. So I think your analysis, Thomas, that it was all performative is 100% correct.
Yeah, and they've known they can go ahead and bring this out as a clean bill outside of the NDA for years. But they just haven't done it for whatever reasons. I also have to call bullshit or suspect for why is it that we had someone along the lines of Tim Burchett, who was the loudest voice of for disclosure, has been silenced over the last year. Ever since we got this new Congress that came in January of this year, and Anna Polina Luna was put to the top of the National Secrets Task Force, right? Burchett has been shut out, it feels like. And he was our strongest ally in the House.
Yeah, and if I could add one more thing, I don't want to dwell on politics too much.
But you know what? Sometimes if you want to look at disclosure, you want to look at the truth coming out, Brian, it's all politics, isn't it?
Yeah, so if we're on the House side, that would be Mike Johnson, as the Speaker of the House, would introduce legislation. Okay, there is one thing I've been screaming from the hilltops for a long time, and I know you guys have heard this a million times. They can introduce what's called a discharge petition into the House. It takes 218 votes, which is just a simple majority, to bring it out in a clean form where all those committees, we always hear the bills go to committees and then they get changed. And even the House members and senators say, oh, the guys on the committee changed the bills.
Yeah.
Like, no. You can discharge it from committee in its original form with 218 votes in the House. And it has to be brought to the floor by a vote. Speaker Johnson would have nothing to do with it. He would have to bring it up.
So in other words, you need a bipartisan action, Republicans and Democrats, not just one side or the other to vote. You need both sides to get past an impasse, right?
Exactly right, Thomas. So you've got 435 House members. You need a simple majority, which is 218. And as long as you get 218, then that thing gets, it has to be brought up, but the 218 passes it. And then that passes it to the Senate. And then we'll see where all those guys lie. And then after that, it would obviously go to the president. And we can look at a current example. I don't want to keep yapping here, but we can look at a current example of Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Hey, go ahead and take this for about 30 seconds. I'll be right back with you. Go ahead and continue, Brian.
Yep. Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene are trying to do a discharge petition to prevent individual members from buying and owning single stocks so they can ban insider trading. I do believe they have a lot of Democrat support as well. The same thing could be done for the UAP issue. And so, I know it's not fun. This is all cut and dry stuff, but this is, if you're going, it should have to come from the executive branch, but if it has to come from the legislative branch, it's got to be done via this discharge petition. So, Jay, I don't know what you think about that. I know you had your thumbs up there.
Yes, thank you, Brian. I appreciate that. Yes, sometimes I do have a bad neurogenic bladder, as it's called, due to a surgery. Accident I had a long time ago. And I appreciate you being in cahoots with me to cover my time to go to the bathroom.
Well, if anybody wants to hear dry politics stuff, I'm more than
But it's not dry politics. It all really aligns to what's going on with Disclosure, doesn't it, Brian?
100%. And I think it's important for people to know the mechanics and some things that are not used often, like the discharge petition. So I do want to bring that up. And if anybody here's got the ear of a House member, I would 100% encourage them to pursue that avenue.
Absolutely. I just want to remind everybody, if you've been watching the show, having a good time, do us a favor, give us a subscribe. You're about an hour in. Hopefully you're enjoying the broadcast for that matter. As King Bull says, everyone hit that thumbs up. We love your likes and support for everything we do here at Disclosure Tonight. We try our best, irrespective of the trolls out there, to go ahead and bring the best coverage of Disclosure, unbiased, uncut. Only place you can get it. All right, let's see what else we've got going up here. It's been one of those days. Yeah, Mike has got the whole family out. He's got a bunch of people visiting the house today. Let's see what I can find. What have I covered? Is there anything else in Disclosure Land that I've covered that I haven't gotten there yet? All right, this is a little news brief coming in from the Seoul Conference, where you can go ahead and watch live streams for $150 or fly to Italy, opposite side of the earth almost, to go ahead and watch something that probably should have happened in the United States, considering majority of all the people who are presenting, who are attending, are all from the United States. We just got to ask the question, why in the fuck did you go to Italy, my friends? All right, we love you, but why Italy? Did you need a good vacation? I don't know. All right. Let's get into this. Yes, we do cover this live, but Let me get, where did that go again? Let's get into this one. All right. Coming up from our next one, Dr. Dan reports, Carl Nels said it best this morning, Blue Book got none of the good cases. The harder to dispute ones, radar confirmed, multi-sensor, military encounters were handled elsewhere. Who would have thought that the federal government would try and keep all the best evidence away from federal programs to research it, kind of like what's been going on? Oh my God, it almost reminds me of what's been going on with RO. Jay, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right there. They're just, it's just another sham game, you know, just trying to keep everything away from the public and crazy.
Yes. So are you happy that we didn't get Carl Nels, or are you relieved that we didn't get Carl Nels controlled disclosure, and hopefully we can get something a little bit more closer to catastrophic and something that's not going to take 75 years for the information to be locked away again?
I just want something to come out that it's like, it's nobody's like, okay, everybody's disclosure is going to be different for each person.
Yeah.
So the way we get disclosure is we go with like, oh, what's his name said? With the technology. Follow
What do you mean?
Technology, you follow everything.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, as far as like all the different technology, but we haven't had a new technology come forward from UAP, at least we've been aware of for some time. Reportedly, we got the integrated circuit, then we got semiconductors, we got fiber optics, we got Velcro, we got Kevlar, right?
Yes, and that's the problem with me too, is looking at these, you know, timelines and the jumps that we've seen. It seems like we're in our own three-body problem of science being suppressed.
Why do you think that is?
Mostly it's because of corporate greed. They want to control the technology. They control the technology. They control the subsets that come off of that technology, going to a corporation, and they get, you know, subsidies off of it or something.
Right. So they're getting funding coming in to take care of them, and they want that funding to continue. They want to keep on doing the research because it's within their silo, and if they make a breakthrough, potentially they get the technological wins that come out of it, not the people of the United States of America who have been funding it. If you ask me, that just sounds freaking crazy, doesn't it?
Exactly. It's ridiculous, but
yes,
that's the way it seems to be working right now.
Yeah. It seems to be Brian Pemble. Your hand is up.
Yeah, I can't speak a whole lot on this, but I did have a good talk with a nuclear fusion plasma physicist, and they've got working machines. Gene can attest to this a little bit too. Him and I have talked about it. And now what once started in the university sector has gone to the private sector with private funds, and so they're all profiting off of the work that our taxpayer dollars paid for. And I can verify this 100%.
Yeah, and I'd just add, I think, you know, you're exactly right, Brian, and Thomas, your comments are the same, that I think this is part of the core problem that we face when it comes to disclosure overall. And I've commented before, you know, I think one of the changes that needs to come out of this when it comes to the contracting world is the idea that, you know, maybe there needs to be some requirements that when you're doing government research and defense research and everything else, that something needs to come out of it that is for the benefit of American citizens, the benefit of humanity. There's things that are in these programs that would undoubtedly advance so many other areas, but again, they're locked behind, you know, classifications. They're locked behind IP property, and you know, it becomes a just one wall after another to try and get something that actually helps people and God forbid, would filter down to some of these kitchen table issues everybody seems so interested in when it comes election time. And I'll just add to that, this Soul Foundation, I've been looking at them closely and watching what they do, where they're at, looking for, considering, how maybe I could get involved with and everything. And this Italy boondoggle totally turned me off from it. And, I'll tell you why. They licensed, or they promoted it under this idea of, oh, we want to go somewhere so our colleagues from Asia or the Middle East or Africa, other people would be interested and able to come and all the rest of it. I get to call bullshit on that.
Bingo.
If they wanted to do that, where you go? Belgium. That's why Belgium exists. It's the world's conference room. You want a convenient place.
What about even San Marino, for that matter?
Yeah, but you want a convenient place for all these people to go. It's much easier to get to Berlin for them. It's much easier. There's many other locations, and where they're having it, adds time and distance and expense and all the rest of it. And I'm irked about it, because again, this is supposed to be a nonprofit. This is supposed to, wisely using the money that comes from public funds, from private donors, and when I see it being used in ways like that, Italy's not the place.
Gene, I have to echo your sentiment, but in a little bit different tone. They put it out there saying, if you go ahead and sign up for this particular level of membership with your monthly fee, pay in advance, go ahead and give us your money. When we're going to go ahead and have conferences when we're going to have conferences, which the first one they had was in California. The second one that they had was down in Austin, Texas, I believe, or somewhere down in Texas. And the next one was supposed to be, they didn't say where it was going to be. Everyone thinks that, let's go ahead and pay this money. We can all go to someplace in the United States and get to the next conference. But then they yank out the rug from everybody and announce that, hey, we're going to Italy. Let's... Really?
It just seems more like where people want to have their holiday, where their spouses want to go shopping,
right?
Or and it adds to this aura of
elitism,
of academic and scientific elitism and all of that, and listen, again, I see it in the opera world, right? People, they want to present themselves like they are of the people, for the people, doing these great things, and then they do things like this with again, funded in part, if not whole, at least for the main players, to go have a holiday in Italy. And you can't tell me they weren't there a week ago, setting up, having their dinners, doing the fancy things. When it's like, how about putting the money into the science? How about putting the money into the advocacy?
Yeah, I agree with you completely. And I've got another survey up really quick on this one.
Even an email.
The last survey we had out, let me go ahead and just bring this up here so we can both take a look at this. The last survey we had up a second ago was pick one, controlled disclosure or catastrophic disclosure. Out of 47 votes, we had 81% of our audience go ahead and say catastrophic disclosure. And now we've got another survey up. Seoul Conference in Italy, not the USA. Choice one, okay, I get it, 40%, but 60% of our audience is saying it's unfair to funding supporters to go ahead and move this out. Gene, does this kind of align with what you've been saying?
Oh, absolutely. I think people get behind these organizations because they believe in the mission, they believe in the people and the work that they're doing. And when the public donates money to you, the worst thing in the world is when you start making them feel as though that money is going towards the comfort and prestige of who it's going to, rather than the mission, and it would be the same thing with you, Thomas, with super chats, coming in, and all of the sudden, there's a exclusive studio somewhere where, you're doing remotes from the Bahamas. People like us that say, well, what the hell am I, giving this for?
Yeah.
What am I doing this for? So Thomas can go have a vacation somewhere?
Now, King Bull says, really quick, I don't trust Saul. They're just grifting by telling us bits of information so they can make money instead of telling us everything they know. I think, honestly, out of all the organizations that we have out there right now, including the UAP Disclosure Fund and any other organization, I think the scientific integrity that comes from Saul is important. They've got a lot of great people lined up for them. I don't think they're grifting at all, because I don't think any of their members, Gene, are actually taking the money in. They're just taking this money that they're getting in and using it to go ahead and pay for some of the expenses, and not even all of them.
Well, and again, that'll all be in the, we'll see how transparent they are come the middle of, first quarter next year, when we can pull their IRS tax record,
right,
and see what percentage went to what.
Yeah.
But the again, optics, it's the optics of it.
Yeah.
And Italy in November just screams boondoggle.
Yeah, it does. And coming out of the poll of our audience really quick, let's go ahead and bring this to the end. The Seoul conference in Italy, not the USA. Okay, I get it. 35% of the audience out there said that, but 65% of our audience saying unfair to funding supporters, because it's not like they said, hey, we're going to be having our conferences worldwide in different areas. If you want to sign up and get access to this and get priority access to go to our conferences, they didn't say anything about it being international.
Right. And if it's an organization, if they found that they start having international members, and you can do several conferences.
Yeah.
You can, do them all on the same day from different different locations, and simulcast key speakers. But yeah, it's set up as this, U.S. advocacy science-based group. And what's the actual percentage of people who need to participate in it and can't get a visa to the U.S. But
not even a visa. You just, anyone who's coming into the United States to see a conference, it's real easy to get here.
It is, but let's give them the benefit of the doubt. So you have people that you want to come speak, you want to do things. Oh, it's difficult. Well, again,
but they're coming over the border legally. What's the problem?
The breakdown,
right?
They don't want. Well, it's a process.
But they're not going to. It's not like they're going to come to the United States for this conference and overstay like for 5 or 10 years. They're just coming for the conference as a tourist and going out.
Yeah. Oh no, I agree. I'm just trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. I agree. As it's obvious, I think it's ridiculous. And it really, again, just makes me question. Where if you got that kind of money, there was nothing better to spend it on.
Yeah. Travel time, money, all that stuff to get to the little places, it all adds up. Now, one of the things, Gene, is I'm sure you're aware of, there's been a lot of disinformation, which then turns into misinformation as it's spread over on X. There's been a lot of people accusing Lou Elizondo, Mike Disclosure, and myself of doxing David Grush. Now, as someone who was actually asked to help protect David Grush, why in the fuck would I ever support anything to dox him? It just doesn't make sense. But just to be clear, we have a Breaking Points video that came from the past that's here with journalist Ken Klippenstein, who admitted that the government officials from federal agencies being accused of misconduct federal agencies being accused of misconduct, folks. That's the key. That tipped him off so he could publish a whistleblower's confidential medical records. This was a deliberate act of retaliation meant to discredit the whistleblower and intimidate others so they won't expose more wrongdoings by U.S. officials. Why hasn't Klippenstein and his sources been prosecuted yet? That's a big question, Gene. Let's go ahead and play this video clip, and I'd love to hear what you think about it. Let me get into this. Where's that at? All right, here we go. Let's play this clip coming to us from the Disclosure Party over on X, because you know what? We do support disclosure. We do support the real whistleblowers that are out there, and we will, like everybody else, we do want to see the truth. So let's listen to this classic episode from Breaking Points with the guy who actually doxed David Grush, coming from the three-letter agencies who are trying to shut him down. And by the way, one more thing, Gene. Before David Grush came out, he was afraid for his life. They were getting ready to haul his ass with a ton of weapons into the national forests to do what they had to do to protect him at any cost. So any people going ahead and claiming we were trying to go ahead and, if you want to call it, dox David Grush and his medical records, as my husband Luke would say, hey, Panda and Tupa, get off my dick. Me here, being honest. So let's listen to Klippenstein on this. Here we go. Hold on, quiet. Got to laugh a little bit. I had to address it. Let's get to it.
Back and forth. Grush accused you of getting these things leaked by the intelligence community. You revealed it came from the Freedom of Information Act. You did a Twitter space last night. You indicated you were tipped off by this. So were you tipped off by members of the intelligence community?
It was both the Defense Department. I mean, again, it's a mosaic. You talk to as many people as you can because you don't want to be dependent on any one individual who might have a grudge or whatever it is.
Defense
Yes,
Department.
I did talk to both DOD people and intelligence.
So in terms of the substance of the tip here.
So he talked with people in the DOD and the IC about Grush to get his information.
I mean, aren't they fundamentally correct that like you are publishing dirt that was tipped to you by intelligence community?
Well, the thing is, when I put out my call for tips, I said, if you have anything positive or negative,
sure.
Because at the end of the day, like, I don't want to, he's a human being. I don't, to be candid with you guys so people can account for where I'm coming from, I don't believe in the UFO stuff. I think he's incorrect about it. However, I don't want to just punch at him. I would have included anything positive that I'd gotten. Unfortunately, I didn't get anything. Now, that doesn't mean that he doesn't have, redeeming qualities. Everybody does, even me. But I just didn't happen to hear any of that. And so I had to go with what, I was told. And to give you guys a sense too, I can speak to the characteristics of the sources because I understand why people are concerned about that because most of the reporting that you read is planted. When you go to the New York Times, most of those stories are planted by committee chairs, by the White House, whatever it is. That's not how I roll. I know I tend to talk to mid-level people, people kind of like Grush, GS14.
Well, on audience is saying turn it up. I have it all the way up. It's a quiet audio. If you want, I can restart it. And let me go to filters on here. I'm sorry about the audio being down. It's out of my control. I already have a gain pushing this fucking thing all the way up. Let's do another gain. And let's push it up again. A little bit more. I want to restart this, go back to it so the audience can hear better. I'm sorry it's quiet, but I just can't. Yeah, there's no volume here for anybody. Let me go ahead and play this again so you guys can hear it. Here we go.
A lot of back and forth. Grush accused you of getting these things leaked by the intelligence community. You revealed it came from the Freedom of Information Act. You did a Twitter space last night. You indicated you were tipped off by this. So were you tipped off by members of the intelligence community?
It was both the Defense Department. I mean, again, it's a mosaic. You talk to as many people as you can because you don't want to be dependent on any one individual who might have a grudge or whatever it is. But yes, I did talk to both DOD people and intelligence people.
In terms of the substance of the tip here, the accusation, I mean, aren't they fundamentally correct that like you are publishing dirt that was tipped to you by intelligence community?
Well, the thing is, when I put out my call for tips, I said, if you have anything positive or negative,
sure.
Because at the end of the day, like, I don't want to, he's a human being. I don't, to be candid with you guys so people can account for where I'm coming from, I don't believe in the UFO stuff. I think he's incorrect about it. However, I don't want to just punch at him. I would have included anything positive that I'd gotten. Unfortunately, I didn't get anything. Now, that doesn't mean that he doesn't have, redeeming qualities.
No, it just means that all you have is trolls that are following your account, Ken.
Everybody does, even me. But I just didn't happen to hear any of that, and so I had to go with what I was told. And to give you guys a sense too, I can speak to the characteristics of the sources because I understand why people are concerned about that. Because most of the reporting that you read is planted. When you go to the New York Times, most of those stories were planted by committee chairs, by the White House, whatever it is. That's not how I roll. I know I tend to talk to mid-level people, people kind of like Grush, GS-14s, GS-15s, people who are experienced but didn't quite have the political chops generally to make it to the top. So those are the types of people that I was talking to. Just full disclosure, if you want to ask anything else about sourcing, I'm happy to talk about that.
Yeah, so I mean, basically you're being accused of this is a smear job. You're trying to undermine his credibility. What did you see as the value of this information? Do you think that the fact that he has a PTSD diagnosis makes him more likely to lie, make things up, and less credible in general?
No, absolutely not PTSD. But, in the police reports, his wife called him an alcoholic and said that this happened repeatedly. That, I think, is a concern. I think that if someone's an alcoholic, that should be factored into your assessment.
Yes, but correct me if I'm wrong, Gene. Alcoholism is the top, if you want to call it, symptom of people who are going through PTSD, isn't it? Because they turn to alcohol to try and drown away the horrible issue that they're going through. And I've talked to people before who have dealt with people in the military who have gone through, there's a lot of people who are going through PTSD that, and a lot of times, end it, unfortunately. But there's a support group of other veterans out there to try and go ahead and protect the souls of those who have gone through all this stuff.
Oh, absolutely. And, I know a number of veterans who, are in sobriety and have been so for several years and, they just can't touch it. And, I always take a step back or, really assess the quality of reporting when there's when the source is an X anything. Not the most reliable, neutral source of information from an ex-partner that somebody was in a relationship with. It's colored, at least to say the least. So you can't always take that at face value.
Yeah, absolutely. If we could, Brian, you have your hand up, my friend.
Yeah, I thought it was Danny Sheehan that originally leaked Grush's name, and then Klippenstein released the medical records. But I do want to say one thing.
Well, yes. Yep. Well, there's two different time frames. There was the initial time frame when Grush was getting ready to come out, right? This is before we even knew who David Grush's name was. There were a few people like myself, Rob Heatherly, if you want to call it, going back to Lou Elizondo and others who were close to David Grush, right? Who knew who his name was. And there was that particular situation that evolved around, if his name comes out, he needs to know it because there's people in the IC and the DOD that are, going after him potentially. Versus what happened later on, I think what you're bringing up, Brian, is regards to the overall, how do I put this?
I was going to bring up the talks with Elizondo because I think that the audience needs to hear it from somebody on the sidelines, because
Elizondo, introduced me to David Grush as a dear friend and someone that needed our help. Period. There was nothing ever from Lou Elizondo ever, not a mention, not a quiver, anything of we need to go ahead and dox him and find out his information so we can root this guy out and have him bring out the truth. No, he was concerned about bringing out the truth that it might jeopardize David Grush's life and his wife's. Period.
That's exactly what I was going to say, and the person that took the minutes on that, and he provided me with those minutes on those calls. And not one time, by the way.
You're talking about Lee, right?
Yes.
Who got his early Christmas present earlier this week, along with his wife at her office. But yes.
Yeah. I just want to say, in all those messages and everything else, the screenshots that I got and everything, there was not one message about doxing Grush. So
no, never.
For everybody that may be doubters of Mike or Thomas, That's just not the case.
Brian, that would be like, say, I'm going to go ahead and dox you and your job and your company and everything that goes on with your wife and your kids. And that's something that I would never do for any of the people that have ever been a part of the show. That's not what we do here. That's not who we are. We're good people. We really care about disclosure. And if you're following the narrative of people who are going ahead and attacking me, you're attacking disclosure head on. Because the only reason I'm here is because the shit that I went through starting at the age of 5 in Addison, Illinois, and my terrors went on for 3.5 fucking years plus. And the only reason I'm here is because of that, because I think every fucking one of you deserve the truth about what is truly going on in our skies and what our government is covering up. That's the only reason that I'm here, Brian. 100%.
I totally agree, Thomas. And the only reason I'm here is actually because of you and all the contacts and everything that I've made.
Yeah.
But I hate to bring up back channel conversations, but I think that this is an important one. So the audience knows. I mean, I've got all the damn receipts too. And yeah, at no point in time did you ever do that. So
no.
I just, it's good to hear.
We're advocates for disclosure. We want the truth to fucking come out. We don't want to go ahead and take people who are honest and the real people who want to bring out the truth and fucking throw them under the bus. That's the last thing I would ever want to do. I wouldn't be having the show if that's what it was about. Now, there's a lot of fucktards out there who go ahead and go down that route, but you know what? They can sit and spin, my friend.
Yes, and like I said earlier, you and I have had arguments about certain things, but we all have the same common goal.
Well, the only arguments I had was there's someone who didn't want to have their information come out. But guess what, Brian? We may have them out on a Monday.
Oh, really?
Oh, really? Okay, so yeah, the guy who had all the videos of the 3 orbs going ahead and chasing an airliner coming into McCarran or taking off from McCarran Airport in Vegas. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to come here.
Okay, well, that's going to be great for the audience. I can't wait to see it, Thomas.
Oh, I can't wait for it either. Tim, we love you, my friend. Tim, are you still with us? You're there. Timmy. Come on, Tim. Say something. Come on, Tim. We can all see you're there. There he is.
I'll just jump in quick while we wait. Maybe he's tied up with something.
That's okay. I'm just giving him shit.
The fundamental issues, become when when you have the whistleblowers come out and the whistleblowers recognize the idea that they become, they come under additional scrutiny. There's people who want to probe into their backgrounds. They're going to talk to family, friends, enemies, all the rest of it. I think, this guy's correct. It's like anything, a company that sends out a survey is more likely to get feedback from that survey if there is something negative to say than if there is something positive to say. For me, and again, I don't have the full history of all of this and the details and all the, I'm drinking through a fire hose trying to understand and piece it all together. But the idea that through this process, through however it happened, that records got released from the VA, is one of the more concerning aspects of it. It's one thing to say,
but we don't know if it came through the VA. There's been speculation coming from Tupa and Panda with regards to it coming from the VA, but there's been nothing that proved it except Ken Klippenstein not even saying it's coming from the VA, that the information came from people who were a part of these 3-letter agencies that were against disclosure in the first place.
Yeah. So, and so, however it is, when it comes, and I think there's a line of saying, we got this information and allowing somebody, particularly a veteran to comment on it, versus presenting it as fact.
Yeah.
I think anybody who has gone through any kind of traumatic event is a survivor of anything that puts them in the spectrum of a PTSD diagnosis. Those are their stories to tell.
Yeah,
it's their story
to
tell, as they're comfortable.
And to blame it on someone who's clearly bipolar and every so often flips to one side or the not. And because they work from the VA, there was a coordinated effort by LM and by Tupa and RPK to go ahead and attack Swan when he worked at the VA and say, oh, this is the guy that went and doxed Grush. It's not even fucking true. And it's all they're doing is they're trying to sink the career of a person who's passionate about disclosure, but his how do you put this? His presentation, his entity of who he is, every so often he freaks out and says, "Oh my God," right?
Yeah,
I'm going to freak out and go after people because we deserve the truth. You know, there's one thing, and you know what it is? It's sad. They're taking advantage of a person who clearly has some issues and using that as a way to promote their negative travesties. Now, I believe there was even some tweets they put out the other day that were retweeted by Anaplina Luna, who within 6 or 8 hours later untweeted, unfollowed because people realized that the claims that were being made were so off base that you're making a mistake, Anna, by following them. But with all this time in the shutdown of the government, I guess they have too much time to be on Twitter.
Well, it's across the board. It's not just exclusive to this issue. This disassociation of humanity, in a sense, of being and interacting in the online world, and what's real and what's not, and what are consequences, and what are what is leans towards entertainment. There was something earlier today I saw. It was a criticism of the EPA director in a statement where he said that, for in the interest of transparency, the EPA is conducting a search of their records. So he's directed his staff to put together a list of all of the research that's been done on contrails and geoengineering. And somebody who just wants that to be a bad thing turned it in, took that headline or took that statement and said, oh, the EPA is announcing a major investigation into right-wing conspiracy theories on chemtrails. And instead of watching the video, people just react to it. There's all, it's all about chemtrails and conspiracy theories and all that. Well, no, contrails are a real thing. Contrails are related to climate warming and CO2 emissions. Geoengineering is related to cloud seeding, which states like California and Utah and Nevada do. There was just a major disaster in the UAE from cloud seeding. And as I read it, I said, so wouldn't, if you're critical of the administration for their position on climate change overall, wouldn't something that potentially brings more transparency to climate-related issues be a good thing? But they don't want it to be a good thing.
They don't.
So it doesn't matter what the words were actually said. The video has been spun.
But what about the facts that come forward that go ahead and say we're not necessarily dealing with climate change that's been driven by humans? Granted, humans pollute the hell out of our biosphere in the oceans and everything else, but the reality of the warming and the change that's been going on, 8 out of 9 planets currently today, Gene, are undergoing climate change, if you would put it to that point, because of where our sun is in relation to the galactic center. So are we going to say that humans are causing climate change across all of the planets in our solar system? It just doesn't make sense.
It comes down to a fundamental, rule I've followed. The facts, though interesting, are irrelevant, because what is the goal? What is the motivator? The goal and the motivator is get clicks, get engagement.
Yeah.
So, I go through with my wife. She'll go crazy about something she saw on Facebook. I said, she's like, does this person really believe? It doesn't matter if they really believe it, because the goal is not to share information. The goal is not to have a debate. The goal is to fire you up so you keep coming back to the message, so you share it with somebody else, so that they share it with somebody else, so they click like. They're not trying to actually resolve anything.
But you have to look at it, Gene. Some of the conversations that have been coming out, Gene, have been about, oh my God, there's too many people on the planet. We need to stop reproducing. We need to stop going ahead and having kids. And what's going on? We have a deficit of children being born, and all the countries that are there that have been leading because of this false narrative saying the Earth can't survive it. But then we're getting other areas where the population is taking off, and we're just not having kids because of this false narrative that's put into place, and it's decimating the current populations.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why everybody as an individual just needs to be a responsible consumer of, what's out there, and need to, take the headline and look before it, and actually watch the video, actually read the paper, read the judgment, read whatever it is, that is being spun to have an informed decision. But I think, the issue is, with all of it, we just react, we just emotional reaction to headlines. And that's why I think as well, we have so many emotionally unregulated people, because you can go through your Twitter feed, you can go through your Facebook account, and within 3 minutes run the gambit of the puppy video that makes you happy, the puppy video that makes you cry because you're remembering your mom, your dad, your sisters, your relationship, the politics that you don't agree with, that you're only getting the most extreme version of. And within 5 minutes, you have run through an emotional cyclone. And then you're supposed to go on with your day and act like a normal person when you haven't processed any of that.
Yeah. I agree with that completely, Gene. A lot of the information is left off for people. I know some people are saying that the viewer call-in is not been posted. It is there. Let me go ahead and just end this poll against me. I had it up for too long. If you're interested in joining the back, the link has been at the top of the chat as a pin piece all along, right, Annie?
Yeah, I didn't think it was. I've just scrolled up, and yes, it is pinned to the very top of the chat. So anybody in chat, we keep saying it's it's not an exclusive club.
No,
for those of
it's
us,
open to everybody
in chat. Everybody can come in. We have after show lock-ins which can go on for.
And Andy, unlike Twitter that only allows 10 people to be in the back chat, we can have up to 100, if not more. So if you have something to say, you want to be here, follow the link at the top of the chat. We'll welcome you in and handle your questions.
Yeah, we talk about 1,000,001 things, some to do with the subject, some about the weather, people's hobbies. Literally, it's almost an open mic behind once the show goes on.
And we've had this forum going on here for years, Andy, haven't we?
Yeah, many of us fall asleep back here as well.
But if their name is there, they may still be listening, like Mike Disclosure.
Oh, yes, you never know.
Oh, no, exactly.
But yeah, everybody's welcome. So yeah, follow the link at the top. You're welcome. If you don't want to come on screen like those of us, join us for the chat.
And just to be clear, Mike does not represent Lou Buffet. He's probably skinnier than you, Andy. Just saying. People have been going out there and putting him out there as this big fat pig that's out there. And that's not Mike, not even close. So they want to go ahead and make fun of him, but they are just so much missing the mark because they want to attack the guy who's truly trying to represent Disclosure.
I can attest now. For those of you out there, I don't know Mike's name. I'm quite happy not to know Mike's name. Okay, I've seen what Mike looks like, and he is more slender than I am.
Yeah.
He's too good at looking a fellow for his face to be.
He's got hair. Well, when he doesn't cut it, he's got more hair than I do. So good for him.
Yeah, he's not quite on my par, but
no, you've got the beard from hell.
Yeah, I'm on holiday. I might come back with it trimmed. I don't know.
If you need to go to get it trimmed, we will cover that for you, my friend, from a real barber, not from by yourself. And you better come back looking more like Gandalf than anything.
We'll attempt that. I'm not promising anything. If I can book a slot, who knows? Maybe in the week.
If you can book a slot, I'll cover it 100%. No questions asked. We'll send you the amount on PayPal or wherever it is. What? Your hair's going to stay, yes. It's just getting this. And don't do a Dave Scott where you cut it all off and it just looks like, well, you know, the way that it is. But get it looking the way that it should, and you will look awesome, my friend.
We'll see what we
Even
can
if you
do.
want to throw some color in there, we're for that.
No.
No.
I don't do that. No, I'm growing old disgracefully. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Hey, Daryl's earning just threw out $10 for your beard, my friend. So whatever we can do to go ahead and help you get there.
Cheers, Daryl.
Yeah.
I shall be booking it up tomorrow, hopefully. If
Book it tomorrow. Let me know. I'll send you stuff on PayPal and we're set. Whether it's 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds, whatever it's going to take, 100 pounds, doesn't matter. We will send it to you because we know of the horrible position of the United States dollar to the United Kingdom pound. Because trust me, I still pay for, oh God, I'll admit it. Are you familiar with the UK treat called polos? It's a little mint that you can get in a container.
I am. Unfortunately, as well, the round polos.
The round polos, yes.
Yes, unfortunately, being diabetic, I can't have them anymore because they're chock full of sugar.
You can't have that, but I actually pay for a monthly supply at a time for Gary's husky who loves polos. So that's where part of our money goes to on a regular basis to pay for a husky that loves to have polos. Gotta love them.
Oh yeah, Gary's husky's a beautiful creature.
Yeah, Storm,
As
wonderful
is your
dog.
husky as well.
You know, if you actually look at Gary's address coming down from satellite, you can actually see his husky in his backyard.
My parents once appeared on Google Earth once.
They did.
Yeah. It's amazing. Yeah, they were out fishing.
They caught him, huh?
And it just so happened to take a photo of them.
They got caught fishing. They didn't catch any fish, but they got caught on Google. Love it.
Oh, yeah, probably.
Yeah. All right. So we got I guess we got 15 seconds left of Ken Klippenstein. We don't need to play him anymore. Is there anything else that I missed here? Oh, yes, we have it. Now, apparently, there were some people out there on X going ahead and saying, look at this. Yesterday, my live stream, my friends, Chris Green, sent me this picture. It's 100% legit of an object with triangular shape flying over the sun. He used a special solar setup with a Herschel wedge, an instrument used to observe the sun. I didn't know what it was from June 13th, 2025, not 3i Atlas. He informed me after the live stream. However, as I have the same instrument, I'll test it today with you and see what we can get. Bam! He found this object that's in the sun. But coming to us from our dear friend Ben Davidson at Suspicious Observers, who is someone who is very knowledgeable about the sun, he says, coronal plasma, please be careful online. Lots and lots of idiots. So we've got someone who's all of a sudden looking at the sun and looking at the stuff and saying, look at this. It's a UFO. But reality, someone who's an expert looking at the sun saying, nope. Lots of idiots. That seems to be the case, doesn't it, Andy?
Yeah. Again, I'm no photographic or astronomical, that's the word, isn't it? Expert. again, it's I find a lot of these is potentially down to pixelation or artifacts. I could foresee looking, or I could see looking at at the sun through I don't know, telescopes or whatever they use. It could potentially throw up anomalies, but not of the UFO type.
Yeah, absolutely. And with another thing, Andy, I want to go ahead and bring out, this is something that's really interesting. I want to go ahead and share with everybody. Where are we at? I want to get to interview guest. Not that one.
Promise if I could just add, that.
There we go.
Comment, there's a lot of idiots and things like. Listen, it's great. People get excited by the things they see and they want to bring forward. And, I think everybody responsibly, should encourage that. And in the same way, if you're bringing things forward, just, do it open-heartedly and open-mindedly.
Talking about open-heartedly, really quick, I've got something that's in the shape of a heart, but it's a visual anomaly that when we look at it, we see the object moving back and forth, but nothing is changing. It's just the ways that our eyes see this heart that's in this object. Isn't it amazing? Gene?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and again, lesson out of that for everybody as you see and spot things. Our own eyes process stuff differently.
They play tricks on us, don't they?
Right. What is it? Our lying eyes. So, again, don't become fanatical that no, it's absolutely moving. It's all right. It's, take the information in, process it, test it against other things. I think we all could use a little more introspection about things we think about.
So people want me to send a link for that heart. I will go ahead and put that in the chat so everybody can go ahead and have that. Here you go, folks. Bingo. Apparently he has thousands of images like this, and these are things we need to cover because a lot of times when we're seeing things in the sky, Gene, we see things and we believe what we're seeing when in reality, it may be something from another dimension that just doesn't equate to our ability to understand what's going on.
Exactly. I mean, there's so much we're looking for and trying to process and we want to believe and we get excited and, it just takes that little bit of a step back. And being humble enough to ask the questions, and looking for answers, and and it's great. Again, even with me, I get the opposing opinions, and then I just try to trace them down. I said, okay, well, is this right? And sometimes they say, well, this and this was missed.
Yeah.
It's just always a process of double checking yourself to make sure you're not.
You've heard about the authoritarian approach to going ahead and killing all these ostriches that are up in British Columbia. Apparently, unfortunately, it looks like they've killed over half of the flock at this point. It looks like that 220 of the nearly 400 ostriches at the Universal Ostrich Farm are confirmed as being alive, which means that they've killed almost half the flock because they were concerned about potential exposure for the H1N1, the bird flu that's going around the planet. But these aren't chickens that only are there to go ahead and live for a short period of time. We're talking about poultry or birds that live up to 70 years old. So the authoritarian slaughter of these particular birds just seems out of control and just shows you how much the Canadian government is just out of control.
Yeah, absolutely. It becomes such a weird thing that we think of government as something separate than people. You know, that it has its, that it lives and breathes in its own way. When all you're talking about are people who are in positions who like the power that they have.
Yeah. Good way you put it, my friend. It's just a travesty to see this many poor creatures from this planet going ahead and being destroyed by an authoritarian or fascist government. They want to plant that on the United States, but I hate to say it. We're seeing it other places. We're seeing it throughout the United Kingdom. We're seeing it throughout Europe. We're seeing it in Canada. They want to point the finger at the United States, but in reality, this is the fascist government. This is the authoritarian government that's truly just trying to destroy the freedom and the rights of the public, who should have their ability to have free speech and, more importantly, grow the kind of livestock they want without the government trying to step in and kill everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, you know, and the you know, the shameful part about it, the sad
code the left
is it's people, the citizens, not taking the time to really understand the issues that are of interest to them, that are important to the you know, their local communities, and you know, that's how it all spins out of control.
Yeah. Well, if we could, going ahead, keeping things from spinning out of control, we have an undercover journalist, Dr. Carolyn B., who just went undercover with Antifa in Portland. Quote, she's an undercover with Antifa multiple times in the past week, and now I'm in Portland with the ICE facility where you might... where you are right, they have done a ton of mutual aid supplies. These are teachers, some of them are lawyers, some of them are Starbucks baristas, Amazon employees. I don't necessarily agree with the notions that they don't work. This is how they fund all their supplies in these tents. Let's go ahead and bring up this video about things that are going on in the Portland takedown of Antifa, and see what she has to say in her recent interview. Here we go.
Carolyn Poroshenko is an independent journalist and host of Decode the Left. So, Caroline, you've been out there and checking out some of these Antifa tents. What have you seen?
Yeah, Jesse, I've been actually undercover with Antifa at multiple events in the past week, and I'm now in Portland, where I've been at the ICE facility, where you're right, they do have a ton of mutual aid supplies at the tents, but what's more interesting to me is actually the graffiti that I've seen around the ICE facility, where there are multiple calls to kill cops, kill ICE, that are posted on public property all around the blocks in the vicinity.
All right, so they've been under a little bit more pressure over the last couple of weeks. There's been a lot of heat on them, the media heat. Also, there's just been more manpower out there. How have Antifa adopted?
I mean, I would say from my perspective, and again, I've been out in Portland for several days now, I actually have not seen a lot of additional manpower here. And so for Antifa here, it seems to be pretty much business as normal. They're still being disruptive and blocking the roads. They're actually holding a giant disco dance party outside the ICE facility tonight. So I'm sure that's going to lead to some chaos.
All right. So they don't work. They just what? Dance and light fires all night?
Well, I think some of them do actually have jobs. I mean, these are teachers, some of them are lawyers, some of them, they're Starbucks baristas, they're Amazon employees. So I don't necessarily agree with the notion that they don't work. And that's actually part of how they fund all the supplies in those tents, is through something called mutual aid, where they take their salaries and they're donating to those supplies. But certainly there are some that are kind of out there 24/7.
All right, so some do, some don't. But you're saying there's teachers that go and teach elementary school, and then at night they throw Molotov cocktails at a building?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I was just undercover at a couple anarchist book fairs over the weekend in both San Francisco and Seattle. And there were absolutely teachers in the crowd there. And I picked up multiple stickers and posters with Molotov cocktails.
And this is really interesting. I have to bring this up, Gene. She's been on her live stream multiple times going ahead and say, I'm leftist. I'm on the left side of things. This is where I'm at. And then she's been on there covering these protests going on. But really, it sounds like she's been saying that, but on the other side, using that leverage to get undercover to cover this Antifa organization.
Yeah, and you know, I think Jay brought it up before about, you know, Antifa as an organization and the idea, and it was something that came out in the last administration, that there was no Antifa quote unquote organization. And you know, the nuance to it is that there are several small organizations that all operate independently. And I think it's important for people to understand. So when they come together in these events, they are collectively the Antifa movement, represented by any number of sub-organizations. And, you know, they build their bases, they build their funding in communities, and they target, again, more vulnerable, marginalized populations, as you call it that. And they do things, you know, like that seem good, right? We're doing.
So do you think this is, you know, people in the audience are saying this is propaganda? I think this is actually the truth being brought out of what's going on at these particular sites. And a lot of people just aren't aware of what's happening on a day-to-day, hour-to-hour, minute-to-minute basis. Your thoughts?
Well, exactly. You know, they see the superficial things that are funding and enabling these types of activities that are meant to destabilize communities, you know, put distrust in the government and the organizations. It's, you know, there are several textbooks to this, and they follow the textbook, you know, precisely. The people that want to, you know, spread this kind of chaos around the country. And a lot of it is ultimately funded through foreign entities and foreign organizations,
right,
and foreign governments that want to see this disruption to the cities and economies and amongst, you know, the American society.
Yeah. Seems to be that way, doesn't it, Gene? And we're just watching a live feed outside of Oregon, the Oregon ICE facility. I know a lot of viewers aren't interested in this, but it's something we have to bring up because it goes along with this whole negative dialogue that comes from RPK and Chupacabra that seems to be if you want to call it, tied to the same kind of Antifa movement, where they're going ahead and spreading and defaming people who are there to go ahead and, you know, support the United States government and calling them out potentially as negative entities.
Well, it's terrorism at its core,
yes,
you know, and we've I think to a degree oversimplified that term, but you know, in the definitions and expectations, let's say, of what a terrorist is. But a terrorist is simply somebody who wants to affect change through intimidation and harassment.
Right.
You know, outing the you know, they want the cops to not come to work out of fear that they are going to, you know, have their families outed.
Which sounds the same way of the trolls over on X right now, Tupa and RPK. They're taking the same approach that Antifa's going, which means they're against, you know, they say they're part of the right, they're part of the, you know, the what's going on, but the truth of the matter is they're acting like the people who are the anarchists who want to take down anything from either side, because in their eyes, it's about pulling down the truth and putting out their false narratives.
And doing it by intimidating people.
Yes, intimidation, absolutely. Brian, your hand is up on this one.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Thomas and Gene, and I'm not going to single anybody out specifically at this point in time, but a lot of them, too, are running scams to try to get into Bitcoin wallets.
Yep, they do have alternate coins that they're trying to push as well, and it's all a schism, isn't it?
Yep, and yes, they have the alternate coins, but they're also trying to get your info. I've got specific examples of many of the main prominent people on UFOX
Yeah.
At some point, I'll reveal them, but not right now. But yes, that's part of it.
Yeah. It seems like it's a mess, doesn't it, Brian? And I don't see this.
Absolutely.
I don't see this getting any better anytime soon. But we do have to go ahead and thank people like the along the lines of Beatrice Villarol, who's had her papers that we've covered in the past. Her first paper regarding transients in the skies. Her second one that turned out to be more damning about it. And you know what? These are peer reviewed papers. The truth has come out. And so before we had Sputnik in the sky, although people and liars like LM who've come out and said, oh my God, yes, we had satellites out there before Sputnik. No, we didn't. And Dr. Beatrice has the truth. And it's actually getting accepted to show that, yes, before the overall age of us getting into space, there have been things in the overall skies that have been watching us and keeping tabs on us.
Yes, and if I may, Thomas,
go for it.
That's exactly right. I'm glad you brought that up because I think it was the day after Dr. Beatrice Villarreal came out, I got a message from LM, Lee. Basically
Lee
said
McMorris, yes,
thing,
yeah.
And I think I forwarded it to you and Mike that he's trying to claim that we've had stuff in the skies all along.
Yeah, but he was trying to claim back to the initial, if you want to call it, V2 rockets that were being launched by Germany, that we use that technology to launch stuff into orbit, which none of the V2 technology ever had the capability of launching anything into orbit. We're just talking about a person's fantasies of what was going on in history, trying to pass it along as truth, right?
Exactly right. And it also doesn't account for the hundreds, if not thousands of objects that Dr. Beatrice has found. There's no way we were capable. Let's just take, for example, we were capable of putting one into orbit. We definitely did not have the money or anything else to put hundreds, if not thousands, into orbit.
And you got to wonder where Lee and his wife, Lee, went. Because supposedly his letter from Santa Claus showed up this week to both him and his wife at her work. So she's aware of it. Lee, where are you? We'd love to hear from you more. Jump on the live stream. Go ahead and jump on a space. We'd love to hear from you more after you've gotten your letters from Santa Claus, honestly.
Well, now that I stuck my neck out, Thomas, I got a feeling I'm going to be getting some messages soon. So
oh, you won't. You'll be fine, my friend. We love you. Absolutely. But beyond that, Brian, you stand for the truth 100%, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And in fact, I was saying in the comments earlier that you were the reason that I got into this topic years ago.
I appreciate that, my friend. And the reason I'm here, Brian, is the shit that I went through when I was a kid. The only reason I'm here, the only reason I was on UFO Man, the only reason I was in different places that I was at was the stuff that I had, the memories, the terrors that would not go away. I had to go ahead and share this because, we have to make a difference in our future. If we ignore our past, our future becomes uncontrolled. And part of it is about understanding our past so we can get to a better future that we all can agree with, one way or the other.
I totally agree. And because of this show, the people I've met and the contacts I've made, even you would be astounded. I recently made contact with somebody that has not surfaced in 36 years.
Oh, wow.
So, these things are absolutely incredible. And hopefully one day I can speak about it more. But yes, it's all because of your show. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. We try to do our best here at Disclosure tonight. Yeah, we're not perfect. Yeah, we make mistakes like everybody else, but the truth of the matter, the heart of where we're coming from is something that we hope everybody can identify with.
Absolutely.
And on that note,
and having people like Andy and Gene and Daryl on here, amongst some of the other old schoolers, J-Cat and Sue, these are just good people. And we've kind of weeded out, in my opinion, the naysayers and stuff. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Andy, we all have LM's old email address from Outlook.com, but that's okay. It's not like we need to go ahead and contact him there on that note. I want to go ahead and thank everybody for your wonderful support of everything we do here at Disclosure tonight. More importantly, if I can find the button to click, I want to thank the people who gave us some super chats tonight, including Janet Park, X1, Brennan England, Dave Nelms, and Daryl Zernick. Thank you very much for everything we do here at Disclosure tonight. We're here for you, and we're here for Disclosure, my friends. And on this one, we are here for the United States of America. We stand with those who are in power and, more importantly, are fighting against this horrible Antifa insurrection that's going on across our country. On that note, I want to thank everybody for coming out for our episode. And as we usually say at the end of every episode of Disclosure tonight, eyes open, no fear, be safe, everybody. But
go back to Party City where you belong.
Absolutely. We'll catch you in the flip side. Good night, everybody. See you soon. I'll take care now. Bye-bye. See ya.